we're going to write the equation of this function. And the first thing that we have to recognize is what type of function this is. So if you recall, all quadratics make a parabola. So what I want to do is I want to first write down the parent function. Let's just review. The parent function of a quadratic is f of x equals x squared. But I'm also going to write it as y is equal to x squared because f of x and y mean exactly the same thing. The form I'm going to use will be the y equals, just because it's easier for me to manipulate. So let's think about, what do we know about all parent functions? All parent functions have a vertex at 0, 0. So let's look closely at our graph. So if we notice, right here is my y-axis and right here is my x-axis. So my parent function vertex is going to be right here. So we can already see that my vertex has shifted some. Okay? So if I were to finish graphing my parent function, -1 squared is 1 and 1 squared is 1. So my parent function is actually going to be something like this. Okay, so I can see that a couple things have happened to this function. First of all, my vertex has shifted left and has shifted up, and also my function has reflected over the x-axis. So let's go ahead, and the simplest way to do this is that we have a vertex, so I can write my equation in vertex form. So let's write right here, vertex form of a quadratic function. Okay, so what is that? Well, typically we think of it as f of x is equal to a times the quantity x minus h all squared plus k. The square is telling me I have a quadratic. Another way of writing f of x is y, so I can also write it y is equal to a times the quantity x minus h all squared plus k. These two, f of x and y, are the same. Because I'm going to be manipulating this equation, I don't like using f of x, so I'm going to use y instead. So those are the two that I'm going to use. Okay, so let's look at our function here. So in order for me to do the vertex form, I have to know what the vertex is. So right here is my vertex. So my vertex is at x is -4 and y is 2. So that's my vertex, which means I just have to plug this in to my equation, and then I'll be most of the way there. So I'm going to write it right here. So my vertex is -4, 2. So if I remember, my -4 is my h and my 2 is my k. So when I transfer that in here, I'm going to have y is equal to a x minus h, and h was -4. So be careful with that, because notice I had this minus is not this minus, plus k, and my k is just 2. So I substitute that in. So let's just clean this up. So what do I have? I have y is equal to a times x plus 4 squared plus 2. Well, I am almost done. So if you notice here, though, I need to figure out what a is. So I'm not just going to guess. I can find an x and a y value from my graph somewhere, substitute it in, and solve for a. So let's do this over here. So I'm going to do solving for A. Okay? So that's what I'm going to do over on this side. So we can pick any point along here for x, y, except for the vertex. We don't want to use a vertex because that will cause us problems. We can use anything where there is an intersection. So there looks like there's at our zeros. Okay, and then it looks like there's one here and one here. So they gave us this one here. They gave us our y-intercept. We could also have used our x-intercept, but I'm going to use this one because I know that's exactly on the integer. So this here is the point. I'm going to write it right here. This here is the point where x is 0 and y is -6. Okay, so I'm going to put x is 0 and y is -6. So I'm going to substitute that into this equation over here to solve for A. So let's go ahead and do that. So I have y is -6, so I'm going to put in -6 equals A times, well, what is x? X is 0 plus 4 squared plus 2. So I'm going to simplify this side of my equation. So I have -6 is equal to A times, well, 0 plus 4 is just 4, and that's all squared, plus 2. So then I have -6 is equal to, well, this is 16 times A, so I'm going to put 16 times A plus 2. Okay, so remember I'm solving for A, which means now I want to get the 2 out of here. So I'm going to subtract 2 to both sides of my equal sign. I get -8 is equal to 16A. Now I'm going to divide by 16. And so that gives me -1/2 is equal to A. Okay, so I just solved for A. So now what I want to do is I want to take this and I want to substitute it back up into that equation. So then that gives me y is equal to -1/2 times the quantity x plus 4 squared plus 2. So I've just written the equation of this parabola in vertex form. Okay, so what I want to do though is now I want to take this and I want to write it in standard form. So how would we do that? So standard form, let's just write this here. Standard form of a quadratic looks like this. Ax squared plus bx plus c, and that all equals our y. Okay? So what I have to do is I have to simplify this first. So let's look at how we're going to do that. I'm going to go over on another paper and I'm going to write this down because it's going to take some space. So I have y is equal to -1/2 x plus 4 all squared plus 2. So if we remember simplifying, We're doing order of operations. So I'm going to simplify going this way. So that means I have to do what's in my grouping first. Well, here's my grouping. Now I cannot add x plus 4. So I'm going to go on to the next thing. Do I have any exponents? I do. Right here. So this right here is being squared. So what does that mean? I'm going to do my work over here to show you. So x plus 4 squared is the same as x plus 4 times x plus 4. So if I think of squaring as finding the area, that means I have a box or a rectangle, and this side is x plus 4, and this side is x plus 4. So, and I want to point out, because these numbers are the same, it might be a little confusing, that x plus 4 is what I put there, and this x plus 4 is what I put there. So x times x is x squared, x times 4 is 4x, x times 4 is 4x, and 4 times 4 is 16. So now I have to add up my area. So that is x squared plus 4x plus 4x plus 16. These are like terms, so this is going to be x squared plus 8x plus 16. So what I have just done, this is what goes into that yellow box. Those are the same. So that means now I have y is equal to negative 1/2 times what's in my yellow box. So remember, this is all one grouping here. So that's going to be x squared plus 8x plus 16, because that was my yellow box. And I still have this plus 2 hanging out right here. So now I'm going to use the distributive property, and I'm going to multiply in that negative 1/2 to what's inside that grouping. So I have y is equal to negative 1/2 times x squared is negative 1/2 x squared. Negative 1/2 times positive 8x is negative 4x. Negative 1/2 times 16 is negative 8. So I've just multiplied inside. I don't need the parentheses anymore, but I still have this plus 2, so I'm going to put the plus 2 here. So now I'm going to simplify it one more time. So y is equal to, well, this can be simplified to be negative x squared over 2 minus 4x. These are like terms, so negative 8 and 2 gives me negative 6. So that means for my standard form, I have y is equal to negative x squared over 2 minus 4x minus 6. So that is standard form for this graph, and right here is vertex form for this graph.